Hello friends, I hope everybody's doing well. Welcome to part 3 of the Ariens 8 horsepower Tecumseh engine that we're working on. So in part 1, I took the carburetor off the machine and we disassembled it, and right from the get-go the seat, the needle-in seat, well, the seat was swollen, and also the bowl O-ring gasket, that was swollen also. And I figured instead of putting any money into that carburetor, because it didn't look all that good to begin with inside, I decided to get a new carburetor for it. So in this video, we are going to do a review on HIPA small engine. It's HIPA 360 small engine parts. So I kept in touch with them. I didn't have any carburetors that I needed at the time, but I did keep in touch with Ruby from HIPA, and it turned out that I figured I would just order a carburetor for it, and so I got the carburetor through HIPA. So right now, what we're going to do right now is unbox the carburetor and see what all we got with the carburetor here. So let me just reposition the camera here and we'll do the unboxing. Okay, so the carburetor came fairly quickly. I put the order in and it came in like 2 or 3 days it came. So I already cut the tape and everything to open this box. So alright, so we'll look at the carburetor first. I'll pull this out. Okay, so I ordered the carburetor, and you could order a couple of different carburetors for these, but this one happened to have the low idle adjustment mixture screw here, and it also has the high speed adjustment screw here. Okay, I find that I like a carburetor you can adjust, and if you have an 8 horsepower Tecumseh on any kind of snowblower, you could buy it either way. You could buy it with the adjusting screws, or you could just buy them to where this just has a jet in it that you have to unscrew to clean it, and this just comes with a bolt main jet. So that was pretty good right off the bat. I almost ordered one. I mean, when you go on their site, look through all the parts, all the different carburetors, and fortunately I was able to get this one with the adjusters. So that's a big plus right there. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so it comes with 2 fuel filters that we can't use because there's no room. If you saw part 2 of the series, when I installed the fuel line, there's no room for any of this. So we'll use this on something else though. Don't throw them away. You could always use it on the lawnmower or something. Also, it came with the primer bulb, which the one on the machine is really good. It's in good shape right now. Because that would mean I would have to, I don't know, you might be able to just pop these out, pop the new one in, connect the hose, I don't know, but we don't need to change that, so we're not going to change that. And it also came with the carburetor base gasket, so that's pretty cool. It also came with the smaller hose that you would need for the primer bulb, which is a shame, because if this came sooner I would have changed the hose out. But the hose seems to be pretty good that's on there right now. so we're not going to have to worry about that. And the only thing I don't like is it came with these wire hose clamps that I hate so much, so we won't be using them. Alright, so I guess we'll get out there and install this thing and see how the carburetor works. And I guess I'll see you in about a second. While I was thinking about it, one of the bolts that hold the carburetor cover on right here also holds on the dipstick tube here. So what I did was I took the bolt and I bolted this back in to the dipstick tube support here, because we're going to be starting this up after I put the carburetor on it, and we want to avoid any mishaps like having the dipstick tube jump out or something like that. And also in the meantime, what I did was I took and I marked, you could see the orange, let me get focused here, you can see the orange Sharpie mark I put there, and that's where you're going to put the governor linkage rod back in, because like I said, you have a choice here if you watched part 1 of the series on this Ariens blower. So I got this all set up now, and like I said, I just screwed everything back on so I didn't lose any bolts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this manifold, the 2 manifold bolts out, so we get the whole carburetor off, and I'll be right back to you. Okay, so there's a couple of things you're going to want to take off here. For one, there's this bracket here that has the 2 Phillips head screws in it. I couldn't get the Phillips head screws loose, but on this part here, on the screw, they give you enough meat. I just always throw a vice grip on there. I don't even try to strip this Phillips head. So I got those loose. And then we're going to have to take this bracket out. We'll have to take this bracket off. I loosened everything up already. You have to have this bracket on so the open part's towards the bottom, because this is your low idle mixture screw adjustment in here, so you can get to it. Okay, so let's get on with it. And then I'm going to separate the carburetor from the manifold here, and we'll get going with it. Let me make sure you're in somewhat of a view. Alright, so we're going to begin by taking that side bracket off. It's over by the idle screw mixture. And that's a 1/4 inch socket you'll need for that. I'm going to leave all this off until I mount the carburetor to the new carburetor to the manifold. I'll just leave this all off for now. And then, like I said, those 2 Phillips heads that hold the choke linkage assembly here. It's supposed to get up to 50 degrees today, but it's really early in the morning, so I think it's still towards 40, 38 or 40 or something like that right now. I have to get moving and get this stuff done, because after today it looks like tomorrow's going to be really cold again. They're calling for a little bit of snow in the morning, but I don't think anything to really be concerned about. Okay, so we got this off now. That other bracket here that I was telling you about, and then we'll go ahead and put it back on later. Why is this like this already? I don't know, we'll worry about it later. And hopefully you saw what I did. I think you kind of can. Yeah. Alright, so next what we're going to do is we're going to take a 17/16. I have a socket on the 3/8. I guess you could use a 1/4 inch also. And I'm I'm going to hold one end with the 7/16 wrench, and we'll unscrew this. Oh no, it's got a Phillips head. Yeah, some have a nut and a bolt, you know, with a 7/16. This one has a Phillips head. So I'm going to see if I can get this loose enough to where we can just use the Phillips head screwdriver. Otherwise, I could put the vice grip on this screw too. It's got a pretty big head on it. If I had they're 1/4 inch nuts and bolts. If I had 1/4 inch nuts and bolts, maybe you can't use. Yeah, you can use a 7/16 bolt. I'd bolt it back in, which is bolt, a nut and bolt, normal, not this Phillips head stuff here. So we'll do that. I don't know if I mentioned it to you. Like, if you own a snowblower with a Tecumseh engine on it, you can either buy the carburetor that doesn't have the high mixture screw and the low mixture screw. You could buy it either or. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I prefer carburetor adjustment screws. Okay, so let's see if we can break this one loose here. I can't even get a wrench on that. No, you can't. Like, Tecumseh is just so ridiculous with their stuff. It's incredible how they put this stuff together here. Well, something's going to happen here with... Let me get back to you and see if I can get a 1/4 inch socket to fit on that nut. So the HIPA gasket, mounting gasket it came with, seems to be a pretty good gasket. It's not like a real flimsy... It's not a flimsy junk. Alright, so I got that other screw out. I don't know where their brains were when they... That's why, you know, I don't blame all you guys for not liking Tecumseh. I'll tell you that right now. I'm not a big fan of them either. And here comes the wind, of course, as usual. Okay, so we're going to stick our screws in there. And the Phillips head part has to go towards the manifold side, because there's a reason why they don't use regular nut bolts in here, because they won't fit. You have to use screws. They would definitely not fit. And then next thing we're going to do is we're going to just place our gasket on here, the mounting gasket. Okay, and then I'm just going to put the carburetor back on here and put the nuts back on and bolt it up and tighten up all the bolts. And then you don't need to really see that. And I'll be right back to you. Okay, I'll show you how close everything is over here. What I had to do here is I had to push this nut all the way up to the base of the carburetor here, and then start the screw, because I was trying to start the nut on the screw when the screw was all the way in here, and it wouldn't. So you got to make sure that the screw, what screw? The nut. Make sure the nut is right against the mounting surface of the carburetor, and then you can, oh, what a ridiculous thing. I don't know how many times I'm going to say this through the Ariens snowblower series, you know. Oh, by the way, this is not HIPA's fault, it's Tecumseh's fault. I mean, it's the exact identical carburetor, so. Okay, I'll be right back to you, okay? I'm going to tighten everything up. I'm going to put those brackets back on, and then we're going to assemble the carburetor. We'll turn the gas on, we'll start it up, and I'll show you how to adjust the carburetor if it needs to be adjusted. Okay, so the one thing you want to make sure of with this bracket here that I put back on the new carburetor, you want to make sure the open part goes towards the bottom, because right in here is where your mixture screw is. Also, over here, and I kind of forgot, this bracket here that I put back on, this is the choke mechanism. Okay, so you have this rod here to go straight up. I always set the carburetor, I always set the choke so this rod goes straight up, and I didn't. I had it off, I don't know, I think it was full choke, and I had trouble getting this rod in. And for another thing, this is part of the rod that comes up through here. You have to make sure that you have this in the bracket there where it's pulled all the way back, and you just slip this up there and put the two Phillips head screws back in. Okay, I'm going to get set up. We're going to put this carburetor on it, and we're going to try it. And I'm going to try to record it the best I could putting it back on. I'll do the best I can with that, and I'll be right back. I'll most likely be nothing but in your way, but I'll do the best I can. Alright, so the first thing you're going to want to do is you want to hook up the governor rod here. I can't tell you how cold my hands are, so we'll do the best we can here. This rod don't look like it's, is it? No, it's not going in, even in right. Keeps wanting to go in the wrong hole. Not to mention how bad my eyesight is. Okay, we got that part. Sorry about that, guys. Alright, so what I'm going to do is, whatever I did with it, next time I'll hook up the fuel line. But I'm going to spray some WD on there so it slides on better. Plus I placed the clamp on here already, and I have it facing to where I could grab it with the pliers and slide it over the hose. So let's see what happens here now. So what did I have? I had the needle nose, what, 2 seconds ago? Where the heck are, oh, they're right here on the tire. Oh man. Alright, so let me make sure, this is the primer hose, so I'm going to have to make sure that that's out of the way here. Yeah, sure. Okay, so I'm going to slide that all the way on here. Woo. Alright, so that's all the way on. So now I can take and slide the clamp out. You want to do all this before you bolt it, the manifold back up to the engine. Otherwise you'll be going crazy here. Okay, so this ground wire here, it's forever in the way. Sorry about this, guys. Okay, I got the clamp on there. This freaking wire. Yeah, the clamp's on there. It's not going anywhere. Alright, then you want to take your primer hose and try to remember how it was on here. Yeah, it was like this. You just bring it down here, tuck it down here. The heck is... Oh, everything's just cold and stiff here. Okay, so that's good. That's on there. And now you want to make sure with this primer hose, when I put the cover on, it was all the way forward, so I had to weasel it down through the linkage here and down and around. And it still hits the strap. I mean, something always hits something with these Tecumsehs. Something's always in the way. Because I worry about the hose getting cut on the cover here. But alright, so now we're ready to alright. You know what? I'm wondering if I should try to pull some hose back the other way, because you see this is like sticking out too far. But what I'll do is I'm just going to start these bolts in the manifold here to the block and screw it in and see what it looks like. I'm just trying to get these bolts started here, and I just want to make sure that all the linkages are working properly. The throttle linkage is all good. And when I do this job, I put the throttle all the way down to the down position, because then there's no stress on the governor. If you have it on full throttle, then there's stress on the governor, and it makes it harder to put together. So far, that looks like it's working beautifully. So I don't think there's really much to worry about this hose here. I don't think I'll have to pull any through the other end. So let me go ahead and I'll tighten this all up here. And we're ready to start it. I'll turn the fuel on. Oh, by the way, after I put the fuel line in part 2, I checked for the fuel flow. I turned the gas on, and it flowed a lot better than it did with the original hose on there that you saw it was no good. So I know we have good fuel flow. I'm going to keep the old carburetor, because I might have some parts around to I have to look into my carburetor drawer. I might have parts to fix that carburetor up. Being that this is going for resale, I don't want to take any chances anyway, regardless, with that other carburetor. That carburetor looks really bad, but I'll hang on to it anyway, like I do everything else. So you just want to snug up your manifold. They're Torx, and I'm sorry, I don't know what size they are. I mean, I bought a good kit, but I don't know if the markings came off or what. I don't know. But alright, so we know that's good so far. So I'm going to turn the gas on and make sure we don't have any leaks right off the bat. And I'm hoping that you saw what I did. So I know it's got gas in it. Yeah, there's enough in there for us to start it up. So I'm probably going to reposition the camera and everything. I got the gas turned on now. And we'll just let it sit a minute and make sure there's no leaks, no leakages. So I'm not seeing any leaks so far. Okay, so I'm going to set it up. I'm going to set the camera up to where we'll start it up. And if I have to adjust it, we'll adjust it. Okay, let's see what happens with it. The key is on the choke. I put the choke on. I gave it about half throttle. That's not a good sign. Forgot to put the choke on. I thought I had it on. To me, it sounds like it's running a little lean. So when you adjust the high-speed mixture, you're going to do it by the screw at the bottom of the bowl. But you're only going to turn it a little bit at a time, okay? Until it runs smooth. If you screw this screw out under here too much, and when it's idling and you throttle it up, you'll see that there'll be a lot of smoke coming out of the muffler. That means it's running too rich. If it's screwed in too much and you go to throttle it up and it wants to stall, that means it's running too lean. Okay, so I'm going to start it back up again. I'll let it warm up a little bit more and we'll make the adjustment. For some reason, these things always want to be started up on choke, even if you had it running 20 seconds ago. Adjust the load mixture screw because it's got a surge in it. I'm gonna take the stupid bracket off. I'll be right back to you. Can't turn the screw. Good. You should fabricate that. I just swung that bracket out of the way and tightened up the bolt. Okay, here we go again. I'm not so sure it's the low idle mixture or the high speed that is causing this, but I mean, show me a Tecumseh it doesn't surge. We're going to try to adjust the high-speed jet. I don't know if I flood it. Maybe it's flooded now. Okay, so I have it adjusted the best that I can. No matter what carburetor you use, these things always have a surge when it's idling. As long as full throttle's fine. That's the important thing on this. I'll go ahead off camera. You saw how I took it off in part 1, you know, the side cover and everything. I'm going to leave this video alone as a review on HIPA 360 carburetor review. This is part 3 now, we still haven't gotten around to checking the auger belt and the drive belt on it. I think I said I'm going to keep that old carburetor around like I keep everything else. I want to thank HIPA 360. It's a good carburetor. You have a good product. I wasn't able to use the primer bulb, but I could feel that the primer bulb was made pretty good too. And it came with the hose for the primer. It came with 2 fuel filters. You can't use that on here. You can't put it here and you can't put it on the other side. There's no room for that. So I'll use them on lawnmowers. I mean, there's 2 there, so you can use them for 2 lawnmowers or whatever you know you need to use a fuel filter in the fuel line. What else did it come with? You saw what it came with in the beginning of the video. So thank you again, HIPA 360. I'll put a link to their Amazon and I'll put a link to their main website. And I want to thank you all for watching. I like the product. The product's good. A couple of my friends with YouTube channels, they did some reviews on their parts also, and they had great success with them. So I want to thank everybody once again for watching. I guess that's it. I'll see you guys on the next one, and stay safe.